A very good morning this cold, beautiful Wednesday morning, where we shall be warming you up by talking matters finances. Who doesn't like to hear about money? Yeah, so this morning we are privileged, happy, excited to be talking about money, and it is about financial advisors. What is their role really in our lives? As we handle our money, as we plan for our money, what is their role? That is our topic for today, and I'm excited to be hosting an expert when it comes to matters money, and also someone, a lady, beautiful lady, who has also benefited just from having, a relationship with her financial advisors. So this is a conversation that you wouldn't want to miss. So keep or be in the loop in this conversation by joining us through SMS line 20316, WhatsApp us on 0786316316 for your comments or even compliments or even questions that you may have concerning this topic on the role of a financial advisor. Karibuni sana, my guests.
Thank you.
Yeah?
Thank you so much.
But then people should know that you guys are time. I think I should, wow. Asanteni sana and karibuni.
Thank you.
I'll start with you, Alice, just to give a brief, intro to our audience.
Yeah. I am Alice.
Yeah.
I am a lady, an everyday lady.
Yes.
Who is trying to figure out what to do with the finances that I get.
Wow.
No matter how little or how much, I just want to figure it out so that I can secure my future.
Wow.
Yes.
Fantastic to secure your future.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
You're the expert.
Yes.
Introduce yourself.
Yeah, James Wanyugi is my name. And again, I'm a financial advisor. Licensed, not just, there are those who
Lovely.
say,
Yes.
but I'm licensed again. And I do this as a passion. I'm a father, married to one wife. I think it's good to mention that. Yeah, and I thank God for being here.
A beautiful guy for that matter, because I've hosted that here. Yes.
She has been in this studio before. And she's a life coach.
Right.
We are always in the limelight.
Yeah.
And we thank God for being here. We thank God for Family TV.
Amen.
For always having us to discuss this very hard topic, but very important.
Very important.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And delving straight into this conversation, Alice, because it's about, the role of a gentleman like James, a financial advisor. At what point in your life did you decide, okay, now I think I need a financial advisor?
Yeah. I am in project management.
Okay.
And this means that sometimes you have a project, other times you don't have a project. And so I figured I needed a financial advisor to help me figure it out, because things are not always consistent. So I needed to learn how to manage my money, how to save it, how to budget it, where to invest it, and how to invest it wisely. Because there's a lot of information out there. A lot of it is misinformation even about where and what to do with your money. So you find that if you're not very careful, you might end up losing your hard-earned money. And so it is important to have somebody who is an expert in that area to really help you figure it out and manage the money and make sure that you're securing yourself.
Okay.
Yes.
So for you just start, and so because sometimes it was almost like a gig, right? Like today you have it, tomorrow you don't, and you needed to just plan your finances.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
So because we're talking about the role of a financial advisor, and she's just mentioned that, at that point in her life, she felt, okay, sometimes I'm here, sometimes I'm there. So at what point do you come into her life, and what do you do? What is your responsibility, main responsibility as a financial advisor?
Yeah, thank you for that good question. And I mentioned earlier that in multitude of counselors, people don't go astray.
Right.
And I thank God because He has gifted us in various ways. And when I do financial advice, this is something that I do with a lot of passion. And I grew up with a mother who had an exercise book, 32 pages, recording everything, tracking her finances. I don't know who took her through those lessons. But now it gives me a passion to actually be aware of our finances, because money is numbers, and numbers have to be managed.
Yes.
And when I come to financial advisors and our responsibilities, one thing that we do is that we sit with a person and then we ask them hard questions, and we help them set goals first. We understand where they are at. We understand which age they are in, because all that tallies down into even retirement planning.
Right.
We help them to set goals, not just goals for today, not just goals for 5 years, 10 years, even up to a lifetime. We talk about 28,000 days. That is maybe an average lifetime of an individual. And we talk about that is approximately 79, 80 years. Now we help people to break down the life cycle of a human. How do I do money in each cycle? We break it down from 0 to 20. That is where we are depending on our parents. And now we talk about the 20 to 40 and 40 to 60, because if we don't take care of the 20 to 60, it means now our 60 to 80, we will suffer, and we will not have enough to sustain us. So we help people go through the life cycle in setting goals, in making sure that they track their finances. As I said, money is numbers, and am I tracking the money that I'm getting? I love what Alice has said. Sometimes it was I have money, sometimes I don't. We help them, like if you're in business, new business can be high on some time, it can be low at some months. Are you able, like, to know an average income that in a given month, this is how much I need in a certain month? If I have a high, where do I put that high? If I have a low, I have a buffer to help me balance life. So we come in into helping people, again, to protect their wealth, again, because that's another matter that as an individual, sometimes we think of earning money, using, and life moving on. We help people now to, how do I protect, again, whatever I get? So it's a very broad topic, but again, we come and sit down and evaluate where a person is. Do you have a budget? Do you have goals? How are your goals? Which age are you at? Do you have an income? How does it look like? These are the very hard conversations that we have with people, and I thank God that we are able, like, it's becoming very popular in Kenya. Before, the name of financial advice, I used to look so big, or we actually don't understand them. But nowadays we are so grateful because people are actually becoming more aware each and every day. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Alice, so how did you now get to settle on your financial advisor? As in, did someone refer you? How was your journey like? Because I'm sure there's someone listening or even watching who is like, okay, so where do I start from? So where do they start from?
I remember I was in the office with my colleagues, and I turned to my friend and asked, what do you do with your money? And they told me they have this and that investment, they are doing this and that with this account. And I'm like, okay, so how do you even get to those places? How do you get to those spaces? And how do you even start these conversations? And she told me, I'll refer you to somebody. And that's how I got to meet my financial advisor. It was through a referral. So I encourage people, wherever you are, please start conversations. Ask the questions. It's okay. It's okay to ask the questions. We don't always know everything. And you're one conversation away from being able to reach your goals, and you're one conversation away from getting the answers that you're seeking. So for me, I'd say start the conversations, and when you get the conversations going, when somebody says, I'm referring you to ABCD, it's good to also research for yourself. Clarify things, and get to know whether this thing is something that's going to work for you or not work for you. Yes.
So for you started by just asking that question, what do you do with your money? What are some of the mistakes, James, you know, that people make, you know, those common mistakes? We look at them and we think, this is just, you know, I'm not going to track my expenses. Okay, that's an example. What are some of them? You're the expert now, you can tell us.
Awesome. And I think some of the mistakes people do is not setting goals. I know January comes with goals, you know, like resolutions and all that, but finances, people fail actually to have financial goals. They say, I will go to the gym, I will lose weight, I will do ABCD, but people fail to set goals. And another thing I usually advise people, and this is a very broad topic, because we ask people, don't just set goal you don't start with numbers. Start with your passions. What really ticks in your heart? What do you want to see in future? What are your interests? That one now helps you now to sit down and work now backward. And then people fail to budget, and I talked about budgeting is more like we start by spying on our money. I like using the word spy. Every shilling, do you know where every shilling comes from? Do you know where every shilling is going? Spy on your money, and then after spying your money, you now budget, because every month you know how much is coming up, and then have I given every shilling a job? Does every shilling have a place to go? If we don't give our money a name, it will give itself a name. There's someone yesterday, I was interacting with a lady, and she told me, James, I think I've gotten my salary. I don't want it to slip through my fingers. I want to give it a name.
Because it actually does.
It does, actually. You go, you check off, you do your payment, and then all of a sudden, the phone is asking, there's a message, do you want to fully? You had money, but you are not aware where it has gone.
And when you look at it, you've done the important things, quote unquote, according to what you think.
Yes, according to what you think. They're all important. But as long as you haven't given your money a name, it will find somewhere to fit in.
Yeah.
And these are always there. Another thing another mistake people do, it's failing to plan for retirement. And I usually say, if you have started your first salary, maybe at 20 years, 22, 26, wherever you find a job, not prioritizing, starting immediately you start getting your money. And retirement looks so far. There are people who want, I met someone who told me, James, I want to retire at 35.
Wow.
An ambitious guy. I like, he's too entrepreneurial. And now it was like, to retire at that time. So for him, retirement is not an age, it's a figure he needs to have at that point. Where do we start? And then another thing is that accruing debts. You know, like I've gone ahead of myself. It's not having an emergency fund. That's another mistake. Do you have a place where you can keep your money so that if a rainy day comes, I'm able to go into that account? And this is not a normal place where you get your pay, where you put your money in business. These are places where it's accessible but different from your normal account.
And it's a question I was going to ask you, because many people, I think, don't understand how to save for that emergency, to keep that emergency fund. In this sense, do you keep it in, the same account? Do you open a different account? I think that's also important to just, share.
Yes, actually, I advise people, if you get your salary through your bank, it's very important. And that's when maybe you run your card when you are fueling, whatever you are doing. I advise people to have a rainy day account. I'm calling it different names, so that now it makes more sense. Where if anything happens out of that derails you from running your normal day, you are able to go there. So I advise people, create another account. And then don't just create another account, have a goal for that account. Create a 3 to 6 months of your monthly expenses. Again, we come from, have you been tracking your money? I know how much my expenses are each month, this is how much I budget for. Now you are able to know, if I save like 3 to 6 months, if I lose a job, if anything happens that was unexpected, I will not be out there accruing debts. Because debts, again, I want to go to the next mistake, accruing debts and high interest debts. Because if those rainy days come, they come with a dent in your pocket. Where will I run to? If you don't have that emergency fund, if you are not tracking your money, you will go to the next app and download a loan app. You see? So those are the few mistakes. And then the other one is not having boundaries with your money. And I said, budgeting allows you to give every shilling a name, but we come to a place where we in Africa, we have black tax, we have all this stuff going on. There are people who know, if I ask James for 2K right now, he will go to his M-Pesa, and before long you realize all your money is gone. Do I have boundaries? Can I have money and tell someone, I don't have, can we try next month? Not because you don't have money, because whatever you have allocated everything. If it's for giving, I say we are in a Christian station, we are Christians. We are in a kingdom place where we prioritize God and others. And that's how we flip the way we do money. Do I have an amount that I give? If I deplete that, even if I have $1 million and I've depleted the percentage for giving, I can tell someone comfortably I don't have, and I'm okay with it, because that's the way I live with money. So yes.
From those mistakes that you've talked about, I don't know, Alice, if at what point or what specific areas of your life did you, feel, or do you feel even now that your financial advisor has actually helped you, based even on what some of the mistakes that probably we make financially?
I feel like the area of budgeting comes first. Because depending on how maybe we grow up and how we are cultured and nurtured, our parents will speak to us about budgeting, but then it's a different thing when you start earning your own money. There's a certain type of excitement that comes with it, and you want to try things with your money. Now you have money, you can do ABCD, you can try that and experience that. So being able to budget my money and treat my money with respect what James is saying, having boundaries with my money, that is one of the biggest areas I think I've gotten help with.
Wow.
Making sure that if I say I'm going to be donating or giving this much or doing this much even for myself, when that account is depleted, we will wait for next time. It's okay to wait for next time until the money comes in, rather than going in and starting to get the loans from all of the apps.
Okay.
So budgeting, having boundaries with your money, respecting your money, and giving a name to your money.
Okay.
As soon as you allocate your money to something, then it goes there. And like James rightly said, if you do not have a name or a place where your money goes to, it will find ways to disappear and go into other spaces.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I like what you've both said, that, you know, if you must give your money name, because I remember I hosted someone here and they said, you can't be walking on the road or street of Nairobi and someone said, that's not your name.
Yes.
So you will not turn.
Exactly.
You will not turn to see. So, but someone says, James, Alice, then that's your name, and definitely you respond. And so very important. Let's give our money names.
Yes.
James, you meet different people with different needs when it comes to financial matters.
Yes.
How do you tailor your advice to different people, different individuals? And you're like, this is Sally, so my needs are A, B, C, D. You tailor mine according to my needs and all. And then Alice, how do you do that?
Yes, great. And I think the first meeting I meet someone, I let them do most of the talking.
Okay.
I don't do much of the talking. And I do an in-depth analysis of evaluation where they are at.
Okay.
There's someone who would tell you, by the way, James, I'm on my first job, or at this age, or my family is this size. As we do that, I'm able to pick up where they are at. So I do a comprehensive financial assessment. Another thing is I like understanding their personal goals and priorities. And again, there's someone who would tell you, James, I want to retire in the village at this age. Now I'm able to look at that and work backward. How much in form of a figure that's look like, and then we work backward into where do we start right now. Another thing is that I evaluate their risk tolerance. There are people who basically, I want to have my 9 to 5 p.m. and that is it. I don't want anything to do with risks. And then there's someone who would go looking at every risk wherever they are. Now I tailor my financial advice with their risk tolerance. And then the next thing is the life stage consideration. I talked about the life cycle, the 0 to 28,000 days of a normal human lifespan. I look at which stage are you at. If I'm talking to a 50-year-old right now, I will have a different conversation from a 26-year-old person. I like now tailoring to their stage in life. Another thing is that I customize financial plans. I look at if then you are 25, what are now your plans? Where do we begin? And this is someone who has a life, they have more chances to risk into various investment products, and unless someone who is at 50, they cannot risk everything. I remember last year I was teaching a group of men. Actually, they are graduating this coming Tuesday through a person we teach in Tigoni with, and they were telling me how their mother retired and they were advised to buy an Uber. And within 3-4 months, they bought at 750 shillings. And within 3-4 months, they sold it at 250,000 shillings. So you see, if we don't consider the age that we are in, then it means we will burn our fingers. So we tailor I tailor my conversation according to the age of the person. And then we look at the risk, whatever the insurance benefit. Do you have a medical cover at a certain age? Do you have something that will take care of the whatever you will retire with? Again, if you don't do that, we will dig deep into whatever you have accrued for your retirement. So these are the few areas that we look at so that we give a comprehensive, tailor-made financial advice. And sometimes we do group trainings, but sometimes they are good because they cause awareness. But I like where we sit with someone
one-on-one
and have that tailor-made financial advice. Yes.
Wow. Alice is coming back to talk to us about the impact now that your financial advisor has had on you in terms of long-term financial planning and also just your peace of mind. Has that happened to you?
Yes, it has. We now have a plan. There's a system in place for what to do with what comes in at the specific time.
Right.
So just having that kind of structure and system of knowing this is how much goes here and this is how much goes into saving, this is how much I'm spending, this is how much I'm investing. That in itself already gives you so much clarity. And then knowing that you have that plan that even if you're planning for, maybe for example, I have a security of an emergency fund that is about 6 months or 1 year, then there's a lot of peace of mind when it comes to making decisions, even with my career.
Okay.
I can decide to transition from one project to the next because I know in case of anything, I'm sort of covered in some place. And so that gives me the confidence to want to make changes and even take big leaps in life because the opportunities are out there. So if I'm organized and my plan is there and it is set and the systems are working, then it means I can be able to do a lot more with my life and my talent and my abilities. Yes.
I love what you've said again. Opportunities are out there, but sometimes we may not be able to see them because you don't have this expert who, you know, I'm sure James, their work is just to look out for good things for us. You know, they tell you, oh, there's this here, there's this there. And talking about opportunities, James, we had spoken about we had talked about emergency fund. But when you look around, a lot of people, the conversation right now, they talk about taxes, you know, high taxes. When you put your money in the bank, it just lies in there. What other options are there? People talk a lot about MMF, money market funds. Would you just probably take us through that?
Yeah, great. Yeah, thank you for that question. I think it's very important. And whenever I talk about emergency fund, I said it's good to have a separate account, but accessible. Accessible means the bank is my money has come in the bank. I know we have this rule of a 50-30-20 rule budgeting rule. I know my needs are 50% of my salary. If it goes above that, you are living above your means. And again, that is where now you check off from the bank, you pay whatever you are paying, rent and everything. The 30% is my wants. Again, it can stay in the bank and then you pay off whatever you are paying off. But now when we come to our emergency fund, we advise people to actually do money market because most money market accounts, you can access money. I know a few of them, you can access up to 10K directly through your phone from the money market immediately. But if you want more than that, it gives you a delayed gratification. It tells you, by the way, this money will come tomorrow the same time the way you have withdrawn today. So it's accessible, but no, it delaying you. If it's something that wasn't like, it delays your gratification. If it was an impulse buying, it delays you. And maybe tomorrow, when it comes tomorrow, you will have realized, by the way,
I don't need this.
So again, when we choose money market, I usually tell guys to do their due diligence. Your financial advisor will advise you who has been tested by time. They are stable enough. They may not be at the roof on the percentage, but are they stable enough? Because I usually tell people, I can't imagine losing a shilling. Sometimes I said when people are young, they can take more risks, but even if you're taking more risks, are your money still safe? So that when you're choosing a money market account, who has been there over time, they have been known to honoring, like people have not lost their money. And we are so grateful for the technology nowadays. I know whatever is happening, sometimes you can know there's this and this trending, this company lost money and all that. I remember some time back, I went to one of the universities that we work with, and these lecturers called us and told us, James, there are guys who came here, we invested in high yield account, like money market, but eventually we cannot access our money. And some of them are 700,000 shillings, $1 million, 1.2 million. And so I usually tell people, let your financial advisor guide you on where to put in your money and where not to put in your money. Let it be. And also, even as you get the information, the money is still yours. Still go down and do your due diligence, do your research, and know these guys, how long have they been in the market? And I know there's a lot of talks about maybe some 2 weeks ago of money market that has it in the court about maybe some stuff that is going on. They are not able to pay their money. Maybe there has been misappropriation of funds and all that. Can you actually, I usually tell people before downloading that app, before going into that, filling the papers, do your due diligence and put your money in a money market that is accessible, but different from your normal account. Yes.
So you don't approve of mattress banking?
I would say That's another way of saving. There are people who are so disciplined, they actually have envelopes.
Wow.
They label envelopes into names. They say, by the way, this is my imagine. I know people who actually do mattress. It's risky because there's risk into you can lose, someone can come, I know a mattress. But there are people who are so disciplined who can actually save their emergency fund in an envelope, but the downside is that your money will only be lying there. It will never appreciate. It will never make a shilling. I said emergency fund is 3 to 6 months, even up to 1 year.
Okay.
Now imagine saving 100,000 in an emergency fund that has 8, 10%, 12% return on interest. How much will that be 1 year down the line? That money will have made few shillings. And again, when we use emergency fund, maybe something has come up, are you able now to replenish? We encourage people to replenish that account. Make it now go back to the 6 months. And then once you use it for an event, let it go back. And then we need to define what are emergencies. Emergencies is not when I go to a shop, I have a working phone and I've seen a friend with another better phone, I go and upgrade another working phone. We need to call emergencies emergencies. And I think next time we will define what an emergency means.
Exactly.
To withdraw from an emergency fund.
Yes. All right. Fantastic. Alice, I'm sure it's not been a bed of roses. From the time you started, but by the time you're starting, dealing with your financial advisor, did you have any challenges, or it was just a smooth ride?
I wish it was smooth. I wish it was smooth. There were challenges, and that is part of the reason why I had to go and get a financial advisor. I wasn't very good at budgeting, and it got to a point where I needed a huge amount of money, an emergency fund, because I needed to move to another town because I had gotten a job there. So it's not because something bad had happened.
No.
It's because something good had happened. And I didn't have an emergency fund to be able to move and facilitate myself to go to that place. And I realized after I was able to figure it out, I realized, you know what? I do not want to be caught unprepared like this ever again. So it hasn't been a bed of roses. It has I've had challenges. I've lost money. I have made bad investments. I have been caught unawares and in a place where I can't be able to facilitate myself. And so yes, it has. I wish it was smooth sailing. I really do.
Wow. James, there's planning, and then there's that solid financial planning. How can one just have that and say, okay, now I think I'm good? Like from what Alice is saying, it's like she has now a solid type of financial planning. How can one get to that point?
Great. And I think first of all, I want to say that financial freedom is a journey. Where I didn't have a plan, and now I have a plan. And now the way Alice is saying, you come from a place of, I didn't have a rainy day account or an emergency fund. I'm a step ahead. And then after moving there, do I have a medium term kind of an account where I'm now casting my money further? You see, and now along the way you review, and financial advice is a journey of reviewing where you say, can we meet in the next 6 months, and you have this homework. I remember last week giving a gentleman a homework and I told him, now this is what you did. It was a company and also personal financial advice. I need you to go and keep records. I want an Excel sheet where if you update here, maybe your accountability partner, your wife, they're able to see what is happening. So for me, it's a matter of journeying where you are, and bit by bit, I call them baby steps. Have you moved from emergency fund, and now do you have debts? If you have debts, how do we knock them off? And then there are strategies to knock off debts. Do you have that in place? If you are not in debt, now we go now to the next baby step. Are you now having some long-term goals? Can we now cast our shillings further from where we are now? So it's a matter of reviewing and bit by bit realizing becoming more stable. I know scriptures talk about money being our master. Actually, that is what I think Jesus called it. We cannot serve God and mammon. This was a money god that people used to worship. Is money controlling me or am I mastering my money?
Okay.
And that is the stability we are talking about. We may not call it that way, but I'm mastering my money. I know when it comes, this is what I will do with it. I know when rainy days come, this is what I do with it. If I'm in debt, what are the strategies? Do I start with the highest interest or do I start with the smallest debt?
Okay.
Which strategies are we having? And I think financial stability is a journey, and we reach to a place where you are no longer worried about money, not because you have so much out there, but because whatever you get, you are able to have a balance in it.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is what I would say.
Okay. How often do you plan with your, I mean, not plan, but how often do you meet your financial advisor, Alice, just to have reviews done, probably to re-strategize? Do you meet, and is it physical? Is it through email? How do you do it?
At the beginning, we used to meet about 3 or 4 times a month, physically.
Wow.
Because financial language is not easy. There are some strategies that you would want to get into, and you don't necessarily understand some things in there. And so having a physical meeting really helped me clarify things, understanding what it means for me to get into this strategy, what it is going to give to me, and also understanding the risks.
Okay.
One thing that I really appreciate about my financial advisor is that they go a step further to tell me about also the risks, because nothing is 100%. Government policies may change, company policies change, and things really, really do change. The dollar sometimes is high, sometimes is low, so it affects a lot of what is happening in our investment. And so we met a lot in the beginning, and then we transitioned into now having calls every once or twice a week, just check-in calls, saying, how are you doing? How are you doing? And these calls were very nice. Sometimes we would talk about the strategies and the investment and all the plans. And sometimes they'll just be checking in to see, Alice, how are you doing? And during those calls, I find that there are insights that come up that now we can discuss in our next money meeting or in our next finance meeting. And then now we have gone to a place where now we are meeting at least once quarterly, physically. Just to sit down and see how are you budgeting, how is the progress going, have your goals changed? Because my goals in the beginning may not necessarily be my goals now. And so with the growth of James is talking about, now probably I had set an emergency fund of maybe 100,000, and maybe now I would like 120 or 150. So that review is continuously happening, and there is constant communication.
And it's important?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's very important. Yes.
James, we had talked about matters retirement planning. But, as the expert, and you've come to me, what do you consider by the time we're going through this conversation? What are some of the things that you consider when talking about retirement planning?
Great. And I think that's a very important question. And I ask people, the first thing to consider is your retirement goals and lifestyle. Lifestyle, because which lifestyle will I want to maintain on my retirement? If you want to still be driving a V8 engine or a V6 in your retirement, you know how will that affect your pocket. I want to retire in the village versus I want to retire in an apartment. That is retirement goals and lifestyle, because lifestyle will determine a lot. Another thing is your current financial status. How much are you reserving for that period? Because if, again, I want to retire with 14 million shillings and maybe have an annuity or maybe just put it in an investment product that will be earning me money, how much do you need to knock off every month? And then another thing that we talk about retirement is planned retirement age. I talked about someone who wants to retire in 35. Versus someone who is lecturing in a university somewhere, they retire at 70. So retirement age really matters. And I talk this because sometimes I've seen people, I think it was last year, I saw a lecturer retiring with, I think, 1.4 million shillings, and another one retiring with 25 million shillings. Both in the same industry, but one person, I don't know, maybe they had a financial advisor who sat down with them. How much can we put aside every month for you to retire with this amount? And this 1.4, unfortunately, he had an ailing child at home who is an adult at 40s and all that. So you realize how the effect of not considering these factors. Another thing is life expectancy. Sometimes we may not know how long we will live, but sometimes we look at who is around me, how do my families, my parents, what is their age, what is my like you can know life expectancy with whom surrounds you. Sometimes it's a speculation. It's looking by the way the person who has lived most in my family, they grow up to this age.
Yeah.
If by the grace of God I go beyond them, I like saying I will live like Caleb. At 84 I will be as strong as, give me that mountain. I'm as strong as I was at 40.
Yeah.
Am I planning for that? And another thing is the sources of retirement income. Maybe there's someone who have a job and they have an apartment somewhere making money for them. And if someone is just with their 9 to 5, they are so different.
Yeah.
Someone will have a higher income, and maybe someone is in agribusiness already, there is something running. They are so different versus someone who is just somewhere seated. Okay. Another thing we like considering is inflation. Money will always be exposed to inflation. Okay. Either you're earning in dollars, in whichever currency, in shillings. Inflation, and then we are talking about 20, 30 years from now.
Okay.
We need to consider inflation of your finances. Okay. And then the next thing is where are you putting your money? That is in savings and investment. If you're in business, you know you don't have a pension plan somewhere. Okay. You know there is no NSSF Tier 1, Tier 2s and all this language we talk about. Where do you have a tool that is saving your money long term? You can't access it, yet it's growing in a good amount. Do I have an investment plan that is going to my future? And sometimes business people ignore so much because they are so busy, they are grinding every day. Yeah. But most of them, whenever I have a bunch of them, the person that I thought maybe next time I will bring here, I remember him, he spoke in my daughter's baby shower before she was born. Last year my daughter turned 10 and the guy was paid a huge maturity. Wow. Actually, I went to the graduation ceremony of the son who graduated at the same period. And this guy told me, James, my son has gotten a scholarship in Germany. I don't think I could have ever thought this money would come in handy at this time. Yeah. He's in business, but he started casting his money to his future. And I think these are some of the questions we ask ourselves. And then we consider health and medical expenses as we age. God forbid, our bodies become frailer. Am I considering? Yeah,
the energy is definitely deep.
Exactly. As I think about my retirement, am I also thinking health may come and maybe eat big chunks of my retirement money? Am I considering to have and nowadays I thank God because the insurance companies that are offering the way you can deposit a certain money at a certain point for you to have a lifetime medical cover. It will take care of that period. So these are and there are so many.
I know you can go on and on about that. Yes. And that's really advice, beautiful advice that you may be giving that. And with that, then I would want to ask Alice, so what is the most valuable piece of advice that your financial advisor has given you this far? The one you look back and you're like, wow, this one, I wouldn't have made it without this person.
The future is not far away. The future is not far away. It'll come around so fast.
Right.
So just to be prepared and to know that every effort that I'm putting in today is coming around, and it's coming around very fast. The next thing they told me is to have a mindset shift. Sometimes finances can be intimidating, and you think that maybe some spaces are not for you. But like James is saying, you start here and then in 10 years you have such a huge maturity and it comes in so handy.
Right.
So to dare to get into spaces, be curious, to learn about finances, self-educate and empower yourself, and take all the chances that you can be able to take carefully and intentionally.
Wow.
Don't just jump off the cliff. Yes. Yeah. So the future is not far away. Mindset shifts, and just to be very, very careful with the risks that I'm taking. Yes.
James, how do you help your clients now navigate the market volatility?
Yes.
How do you go about that?
Yes. And I think we're in a place where a lot of things are changing. Taxations. There's someone who told me nowadays my payslip is like a supermarket receipt. The deductions are so many.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things happening right now. And one thing I tell people is that hard times will always be there. I like reading this book called Psychology of Money.
Yeah.
And the guy was saying this is not the hardest times in the world of economy. Actually, there have been very hard moments, and actually, if you review back, you realize actually we are not yet into the ditch. So, what I usually advise people is that keep tracking your money. Even when the hard time comes, you are not gotten by surprise. Also, I like, and this is like repetition, because I still advise people review your lifestyle. If you feel things have changed, my 50% of my needs, it's no longer 50%. Things have increased in prices and all that. Am I able to increase my income? If you don't increase your income, can we look at adjusting on our expenses? What do I need to tighten my belt on? Do I have a subscription that I want to knock off? These are the few areas that I tell people, how do we review? And I love what Alice said. Sometimes you realize the goals you had, they have changed, and they can change for good. They can change in a place where I thought I would achieve this at the end of the year, but with the market situations, can I adjust actually backward? And it's okay to not to achieve those goals with the specified time, because we talk about the SMART goals. Are they specific? Are they measurable? If that doesn't happen with the current situation, am I humble enough to actually tone down? Am I able, if I realize that I can no longer provide for my family the way I used to, can I sit down with them and tell them, by the way, this is what is happening? Can we now have a shift of some few things? It will be a bit hard, but once this is over, we can be able to come back on our feet again. And I think these are places where we need financial freedom, as I said. It's a journey where we keep on reviewing. And then when things come up, or maybe an opportunity comes up, you are able now to grab it without feeling as if we are overwhelmed, as if things are out of control. Yes.
Alice, apart from your financial advisor, who's seemingly doing a very good job, how else do you keep yourself informed when it comes to matters finances?
I try to read a lot. Reading is not always easy, but I do try to read a lot. And I also am very intentional with the spaces that I'm in and the people that I hang out with and the circles that I'm in. Because the conversations that happen in there they're very subtle, and they will influence the decisions that you make. There are people who will speak of a certain investment opportunity that you would never have thought about. Others are going to educate you about certain risks that maybe they have experienced and you would never have thought about it. So it's reading and making sure that I'm in the right circles, in the right spaces, and trying as much as possible to seek out opportunities that are going to be beneficial to me and my finances and my investments. Yes.
Wow. To the point. James, what is your advice, very briefly, because now we're getting towards the end of the program, to a person who is probably starting now their personal financial journey? What advice would you have for them?
First of all, it's just very important to know that it's never too late. Maybe you are feeling at my 40s or 50s and I've never gotten to sit with someone. Start somewhere. And I usually say sometimes it's easy to get to a financial advisor who have maybe conflict of interest, where they want you to maybe subscribe to a product. But again, I tell people, seek a financial advisor who have a heart of a teacher, who is willing to take me through the process to actually know I can start wherever I am. I talked about that life cycle. Let them ask them, like, where this is where I am. Where can I start? And then from there, don't start big. I like what Ali said. It's not about the amount. It's about break it down to this is where I am. I can start as low as 2,000 shillings. Can I now start taking charge of my finances? Another thing is that please have a teachable heart, because sometimes money language is not easy, and you can imagine even in our places of worship, the moment someone stands, this is the time to give you start now seeing people scrolling. It's a very uncomfortable conversation because it touches our soul, it touches our blood. This is what we grind every day. can I be able to be counseled and actually to accept rebuke? You need to style up. You need to start now doing ABC. Have that teachable heart. And another thing is that know that the money belongs to you at the end of the day. It's about what you do. Because there are people who arrive in a place called one day. Then they say one day. And the moment I hear someone talking about one day, I usually say, this is the place they have arrived.
Yes.
Because it's so easy. So it's in the subconscious. Give me 2 months. I met someone who told me, James, do you know we met 1.5 years ago? It feels like yesterday. And for me, the big thing, I usually say this financial conversation and resolution, it's 80% behavior and 20% knowledge.
Okay.
And the moment you start working, and maybe Alice can confer to this, the moment you had the first conversation, every shilling now, you start to notice things that you were not noticing. You go to a supermarket and start realizing, by the way, I can pick this instead of this, because this has an offer, it will run me for longer. You start now becoming aware. Can we come to that place of, I don't arrive to one day place?
Yes.
And then apart from that, seek information, money belongs to you. A financial advisor cannot tell you, they don't buy this car. And they do, maybe because there are people who will ask you, by the way, James, do you know, like, yes, I can still afford this, but there is a better option. But where you are, I think this will run you to the same purpose, but this will have a more dent to our goals. Are you able to review and also to listen in? Are you able now to take action? Yes.
Alice, probably a quick wrap up as your final words to people who may just be there sitting and thinking, should I or should I not have a financial advisor?
I would say please do. Please do, and start today if you can. That journey is such a special place, and it's a gift to yourself, to your future self. If you start today, taking that step is a gift to your future self. Money is, you get to understand and change your attitude towards money, and money becomes a meaningful part of who you are, and you respect it. You start to honor it, and it becomes this very special thing to you, not in a way that you want to hoard it or misuse it or anything. You just respect it as much as you respect yourself as well. There are certain spaces and places that you wouldn't want to be caught in or even be in. So you also don't want your money to be in spaces and places that you don't want it to be in.
Absolutely.
So start now. It's worth it.
Start now, it's worth it, and I think that's where we're going to end this beautiful conversation. Unfortunately, remember our conversation prior to that, but here we are, and thank you so much, gentlemen and lady, for honoring our invitation here. And to you, my viewer and listener, wherever you are, I just want to say a big asante sana for giving us your time, for being here with us and just being part of this conversation. A beautiful conversation. I pray and hope that you've learned something, 1 or 2 things about just having a financial advisor in your life. To our partners, our donors, the very important, that special group of people who keep holding our hands and supporting this kind of content, to say thank you so much. And if you want to be part of this beautiful community, please join us by just sending your donation to 316 pay bill number, and the account number will be your telephone number, or even send the name partner and we'll be able to reach out to you and just guide you on what to do. God bless you and have an amazing Wednesday. God bless.